There is not one person I know that would not benefit from our knowledge.
1000%.
All genders, especially women's health, though, because that's super not well done.
You're listening to The Pelvic Freak Show
with your hosts, Amanda Neary and Hannah Meyer. Hey, Pelvic Freaks. Welcome back to another episode of The Pelvic Freak Show.
Where your freaks for us and we're freaks through your pelvis, baby.
You almost did that on pitch today.
We almost harmonized.
Hey guys, have you rated our podcast yet? Before you listen to this episode, go hit that 5-star rating if you've been loving the pod. It helps us so much with visibility. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
If you listened to our last episode, it was on the number one thing you are doing wrong, the number one thing that is inhibiting you from having a good orgasm. If you want more tips on how to have good orgasms, we have a link in the episode description for omgyes.com to learn about evidence-based ways to have an orgasm. So you should also go check that out.
Heck yeah.
Now, are you ready to get freaking started?
I'm ready to get freaking started. I'm going to start this episode with a story.
Tell me it.
So about a year ago, I was asked to do a workshop about pelvic health by a known fitness collective in Chicago. And I initially agreed, and we talked about the specs of the workshop and what I'd be talking about and educating on, and we got to naming it, and I came up with my name that had pelvic health in the title, and they said, we actually don't want pelvic health in the title because no one cares about that, and that's not going to sell tickets. And I said, listen, I know that pelvic health is important and people are going to buy tickets to this. I know that it's bigger than you think it is. And it was like a dismissal from the fitness community a little bit. And it rubbed me the wrong way, right? So at the time, they had also asked me to be an educator on their online platform. And honestly, I just was busy with the clinic at the time. But I always said, if I do further collaborations with people, I'm going to, require a certain amount of my verbiage in the title of the event that we do. Anyway, fast forward, that same collective just reached out to me again to do another event with them this year. And their tone totally shifted. Their tone totally shifted.
Their tone shifted. Their tune has changed.
Their tune has changed and their tone has shifted.
Mm-hmm.
They want pelvic health front and center of this whole day-long event where there's 4 different speakers, a full panel about women's health, and pelvic floor is getting a full hour-and-a-half-long workshop and a spot on the panel. And I was a key person that they wanted at the event to speak about this stuff.
Singing a different tone.
Singing a different tune. And that's part of how they're advertising it. And verbatim, they said, this is crazy how popular pelvic health is now. And I understand from a marketing perspective, we do it for the podcast. Like, what are people going to search? What are people going to be interested in? It's just fascinating to me that now the fitness wellness community is catching on to the visibility pelvic health is gaining and putting it at the front and center of their stages for their events, which is really cool for us. And also I was like, I told you so. So I got to do that. And that was good. That felt good.
Yeah, that feels really good to me too.
And it's just, it's a testament to the work that we're doing. Obviously, our podcast is not why people know about pelvic health, but we're one of the groups of people talking about it online and social media and getting the word out there and seeing all of the blabber around it. Like you and I had talked about how Kegels trending isn't the worst thing because people are at least talking about the pelvic floor.
Yep.
The more people are mentioning it, saying it, putting it in their events, we're gaining the visibility we need to really help people with it. And that is super cool.
Yes. And no hate to that community because I get it. From their perspective, pelvic health, it's a little bit niche and it's a little bit we don't talk about that still, which is why we have a podcast on it. And we're trying to destigmatize because it is stigmatized. Why would a fitness community put that front and center? Fitness communities value wellness over pelvic health. this is why we say we're not a wellness podcast. We're not a wellness podcast. And I'm so glad we never just changed our tune.
Now that's the thing we're going to say the whole episode.
I'm so glad we never changed that to just fit in with what is trending then.
Totally.
Because wellness, even last year, I feel like it's not as much of a trendy, but I feel like the whole 2020, it's like wellness, like these are the best wellness things you can do. Like all these like random habits. And we did an episode on this last summer of like the top like wellness trends that we just hate. And no, we're not a wellness podcast. We're a pelvic health podcast. We're a health podcast because we want to prioritize your long-term standing health, not just like quick fixes and trends to like make you feel better for 2 seconds. And then
yeah. Also, wellness is kind of a bullshit blanket term. It doesn't tell you anything about what you're going to be talking about. There's so many different aspects of wellness culture, quote unquote. And a lot of them are just taking other cultures' traditions and whitewashing them. There's this negative connotation with wellness to me personally. I don't want to, steal something from someone else and call it wellness and then it's mine and it's my brand and there's no rhyme or reason to it. Health is very specific, and also being a pelvic health podcast is a lot more niche and targeted because we have a very niche subject that needs visibility. And that's why it's cool that it's gaining visibility now.
At least in the community that we're in, I see more of these kind of things starting to trend more rather than like general wellness, because like people know like this shit isn't really working.
Yeah,
totally. You know what I mean? Like that's why I'm so happy we never changed it up and why we're sticking to it, and we're going to keep sticking to pelvic freaks. We are pelvic freaks. When we first came up with that term, it was like, I remember us coming up with that term and we were like, obviously we have to have pelvic in our name. And we were originally like the Pelvic POV podcast, but we said pelvic freaks so much that we became the Pelvic Freak Show, which is just freaking iconic.
Yeah.
But I do remember thinking like, are people going to search us? Are people going to search pelvic? Like, is that something that someone would look up? It is becoming that now more and more.
Totally.
And we have a lot of influencers and pelvic floor influencers to thank for that too, which I'm happy for.
Yeah. Someone sends me a video almost once a week about either a TikTok of some influencer talking about going to pelvic floor therapy, which is really cool, or just a TikTok they see about pelvic floor in general. So there's always something trending, and that's cool.
We are talking about all the time how women's health is dismissed. Guys, ding, ding, ding. We're here.
Bing, bang, boom.
Everyone can benefit from pelvic floor PT. There is not one person I know that would not benefit from our knowledge.
1000%.
All genders, especially women's health though, because that's super not well done.
I love when you get really passionate about something to the point where you don't know your next word that's coming out of your mouth.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's tough sometimes.
But it's so good.
But everyone can benefit. Another point. I have noticed as being a clinic manager of the Pelvic Institute this past year, more and more our patient percentages, I guess I'll say, has grown to be more and more men, which is hella exciting.
Yeah.
Like all the time I go into the gym to treat and it's like almost 50-50 men, women. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Our population is diversifying,
which is so exciting. And what if we would have just been like, no, like we got to just target women's health because like that's what's going to be like trending the most. No, like we're all gender, all inclusive, and we're sticking to what we believe in and our views on health. And it's actually happening and people are realizing that they can get benefit from PT.
And that to me was so important in creating a practice because if you guys don't know, every single human has a pelvic floor. Every single human with a pelvis has a pelvic floor. That's all genders. That's everyone. And there are a lot of clinicians that still only treat women or female identifying patients. And in their defense, that's where this specialty kind of started. It used to be called women's health, and we just recently started calling it pelvic health to include all genders. But as you know, Hannah and I, if you've been listening, and if you don't, we're very passionate about our activism and the communities we care about. And one of those communities is transgender and non-binary people. So to only treat women or female identifying patients at a practice doesn't make sense for us and somewhere like the Pelvic Institute. So to make that gender inclusive has been really beneficial. We've talked to so many people in Chicago that are telling us they've been looking for a practice that treats men and different genders, and they haven't been able to find one to refer to consistently. So for us, it's a requirement that we are gender inclusive.
And it makes me so happy because it's the other thing I've been noticing, not just men and women, but trans and non-binary people have been finding us easier. And specifically when I am evaling like a non-binary or trans person that's coming in, they're saying, I loved your website because specifically you said you were gender inclusive and it felt more welcoming for me to come here.
Yeah.
And when I go to another place, I just feel like I'm not going to be understood.
Also, to that point, the website, I designed that specifically too because multiple clinics I used to work at, they treated both genders, quote unquote. They were still so binary with their verbiage. On their website, there would be a women's pelvic health page and a men's pelvic health page. Gender inclusive is such a different tone. That's just acknowledging that trans people exist, that non-binary people exist and need this care too. So that was super important in the design. So I'm glad we get that feedback. And
it's happening. And it's so exciting because I was at a community health fair recently and two exciting things happened. One, a nonprofit came up to us and was so excited that we prioritize being gender inclusive because they were like, I don't know where to refer people to for pelvic health care, especially like my trans and non-binary people that we treat. So that was super exciting. Another one, a urologist came up to our booth and was like, oh, like, are you women's health or like what patient populations do we treat? And I was like, oh, we treat all genders, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, this is amazing because I primarily treat men for urology and I have not like one practice that I am designated like I am going to refer you here.
yeah.
Because I can't find people that treat pelvic health for men.
Yeah.
And I was like, honey, come our way.
Honey, welcome.
Here's my email. I got you.
Yeah.
I will be your girl.
Absolutely. I love that we're getting out there and talking about this more. It's so important. It's so important.
I was like, not only do we all treat all genders, but we even have one PT that specifically prioritizes treating men and people with penises. So we got you.
And I've realized my favorite niche is like gender affirming care. And that's what I want to do long term. And those are the patients I want to see.
With getting more and more of those patients recently, I have realized that I love that as well so much. And before I just wasn't getting that patient population as much. And I freaking love it.
It's the best. Yeah.
Like
to have an affirming space. And it's not even like it's not rewarding for me. It's rewarding to know that you are making that impact for people. It's seeing that impact is rewarding in a non-egotistical way, if that makes sense. It's like community. It's creating community.
Exactly.
I love it.
Purpose of this episode today is to talk about what even is the frickin' pelvic floor, because we have pelvic in our title. We have pelvic in our name. We talk about pelvic all the time, but we realize that a lot of people don't know what pelvic health, pelvic floor, what it is.
Yeah, we kind of went on a rant there about visibility.
But it makes sense with like we talked about like right then and there what pelvic health is and why it's important and our views on pelvic health.
Totally.
Which is freaking awesome.
I love it. All right. So if you're new to our pod, welcome. That's kind of our backstory and why we're doing this in the first place. You'll notice we talk about sex a lot and we're destigmatizing a lot of sexual health topics, bowel and bladder stuff. That's all because those are things people have come to us and said this might be TMI, there is no TMI for pelvic health. So we're going to explain what the pelvic floor is, what things might fall under dysfunction for the pelvic floor that might lead someone to seek care for it through a pelvic floor therapist, and just conditions that you might not think are pelvic health related that we're seeing all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you want me to say what the pelvic floor is?
Yeah, I'll start off with a visual and then you can go in.
Go for it.
I want everyone to look down. And I want you to take your hands and place them on the bony parts of your hips on the side. And you're going to feel a little like bowl-shaped bone at the bottom of your body. That's your pelvis, okay? And then your pelvic floor muscles sit within that, like a bowl or a hammock. Tell us about the pelvic floor muscles.
All right. So if you're looking down at your hammock, the pelvic floor muscles, I'm going to keep this broad. I'm not going to get into all the specific muscles because I think for the purpose of this episode, we just want to learn about function, right? So it's basically a group of muscles that is, as Hannah described, sling or hammock shaped in the pelvic bowl. And it has a lot of different functions. So your pelvic floor is responsible for support and intra-abdominal pressure management, support of the organs in the pelvis, whether that's a uterus, bladder, your intestines are all sitting on top of that, right? So it's creating a support and stability along with the abdominal cavity. And then pressure management, when you're lifting heavy loads and you have increased intra-abdominal pressure, your pelvic floor helps manage that a little bit. And then we have things like sexual function. So if you're thinking about sensation during sex or orgasm specifically, that's one large pelvic floor contraction that's involuntary. So we have sexual function as part of the pelvic floor as well. And then we have bowel and bladder related functions. You have sphincteric control, that's maintaining continence or the ability to hold in your urine or feces rather than leaking, and gas as well. So you can have like fecal incontinence, gas incontinence, things like that. So you have sphincteric control of the pelvic floor. Did I miss any?
I think the only other one I would throw in there is core strength. Pelvic floor is a part of your core.
Yeah.
But that's more of general.
Yeah.
I think of like when people think of the pelvic floor, and a trending thing that people think of is Pilates, your deep core, and your pelvic floor is part of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I usually group that in with pressure management.
There we go.
Yeah. And they kind of go hand in hand because if you're not activating your pelvic floor, you're going to lose some of that pressure management with core stability. But yeah, that's the easier way to like think about it for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah. So just hearing that list, that's so many different types of function. And we're not even scraping the surface of how many different things can show up within that might show up as a symptom of pelvic floor dysfunction, right? Your pelvic floor also has a ton of referral points. You might have a symptom that's not directly over that pelvic region that might be pelvic floor related. Do you want to get into some things that can go wrong or just some things that we see as pelvic floor dysfunction?
Yes, I really do. You're guys.
She's excited.
Anything related to the pelvis, pretty much, we can freaking treat for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you wear poop in your pants sometimes, you feel like you're wiping a marker when you wipe your butt, you're constipated, you're having more diarrhea, you're having pain with bowel movements, that's just like one end of things. And then urinary incontinence, stress incontinence, if you're peeing when you jump, you're peeing when you pick up your toddler, you're having a lot of urgency. You can't go to a freaking concert to watch your favorite band because you're running to the bathroom. You can't sleep at night because you're waking up every 3 hours to pee. You've been having pain for 10 plus years because the average timeline to get a diagnosis for a woman for endometriosis is 10 years. Pelvic pain, we treat that. We help you manage your pain. Vaginismus, you can't have sex with your partner. You can have penetrative sex because you have pain. We treat that. Your abdomen is cramping all the time because you have bladder issues, because you hold your breath, because you have tension in your muscles. We treat that. Am I even missing anything?
Did you say hip and low back?
Hip and low back pain.
Because people don't think of that as pelvic floor.
There's so many things like erectile dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't been able to achieve a strong erection and maintain it, and you've gotten plenty of scans and everything's coming back normal, and your doctors are just like, here's a Viagra, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. We help you with that. We help you with even just learning how to pee and poop better. Even if you don't have dysfunction, you can learn that from us, and how to have better orgasms. Dysorgasmia, painful orgasms is another one.
Mm-hmm.
God, I literally, there's so much.
There's so much. And there's so many things you wouldn't think of. One specifically, the ones that people don't typically think of as pelvic floor for me are IBS or any bowel, gut, like diarrhea, constipation related thing. They don't think pelvic floor therapy can help with that. because it's not intuitive, right? It's like, what would my pelvic floor have to do with the fact that I'm constipated? But there's actually a lot, because that's maybe related to tension, and also diarrhea can be related to tension, even though it feels like it might be the opposite. So IBS is often something that we link to the pelvic floor. And then things that you might go see an orthopedic therapist for, but be stuck in a chronic pain cycle with. So I love talking about low back pain, because so many people go to a sports PT and then eventually get referred to pelvic floor 6 months, a year down the road, and they finally find that one trigger point that was maybe referring out for them, or the root cause of that symptom. So things like that don't even seem like they're linked to the pelvic floor.
Yeah.
All the time.
A couple more I'm thinking of, because you said IBS stuff, is tailbone pain is like one of my favorite things to treat, because like we were just talking about the Pit episode that I just watched.
Yeah. Wait, talk about that scene again. That was crazy.
I talk about it?
Yeah.
I was watching the Pit, and season 2, I don't know which episode, but I think I'm like around like 4 or 5 or something. And obviously PT isn't really talked about in the emergency room. But there was a patient that came in with tailbone pain, and I guess like dislocated his tailbone. And they did an x-ray, whatever. They were like, sorry, man, like we can't really do anything for this. It's just going to take time to heal. And I was like, you should refer to pelvic floor PT, but whatever. Usually the show is like medically accurate, but I was like so hoping that they would refer to pelvic floor PT that I would have been like so gassed for that. Didn't happen, but whatever. And he was like, really? Like, that's all I can do? Like, I'm in so much pain I can't sit, which is something we see all the time with pelvic health, like tailbone pain, like literally you can't sit down. And they're just like, yeah, man, like we can't do, like they don't do surgery for that. Like they don't do anything for tailbone pain. You really can't do much other than pelvic floor PT. And she's like, well, there maybe is one thing we can do. And he's like, I'll do it. I'll do anything. And she's like, it's going to be a little uncomfortable. He's like, whatever. I'm already uncomfortable. She puts a glove on, and then she's like, are you ready? And he's like, yeah. And then she shoves her finger up his butt as hard as she possibly can. And they make it super dramatic because it's TV, right? And he's like, oh, ow. And then she like pulls it out. And then she's like, okay, that's it. And then he stands up and he's like, I feel so much better. I'm healed. And I'm like, in reality, that's not how it works.
Right.
But I was excited that they did that, because I was like, that's literally what we're doing to help treat tailbone pain, is like doing rectal treatment to stretch the pelvic floor muscles. If you're listening to this, you have tailbone pain. It's not like that. We're going to actually make it a comfortable experience for you.
It's not a surprise factor.
But that is something that we can treat. And why I like treating tailbone pain is because there is literally like not much that you can do for it other than PT.
Yeah. And tailbone pain, after a session of manual therapy, if you know, you get so much relief from like some basic tailbone mobilizations that we can do internally that you can't get done somewhere else.
And people get really thrown off from the rectal portion. I remember I've had patients that are like, no, I'm not doing that, which is I'm fair. You don't have to do anything you're not comfortable with. But I am telling you, if you are ever changing your tune and want to try it, I can almost guarantee you that this will give you some relief that you're not going to be able to get anywhere else unless you use the pelvic wand on your own at home or something. Eventually, a patient will maybe be like, okay, let's just try it. And then without a doubt, every time helps.
Totally.
Is helpful.
Yeah, that feeling when the patient comes back in the next week and they're like, unfortunately, that's what helped, so let's go again.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Unfortunately, yeah, I'm going to have to do that again.
It is what it is.
Well, we're going to have to run that back.
Run it back. Yeah, if you're hearing this and you're like, what the heck? Your mind is blown. You had no idea some of these things were pelvic floor related. Oh, another one we forgot to mention, prolapse.
Yes.
Or even just the feeling of heaviness, weakness, lengthening when you're lifting weights, when you're walking, when you're running after having a baby. Those are definitely things we treat and assess in pelvic floor therapy as well.
Oh my God, can you recognize how we just listed literally everything except for pregnancy, postpartum?
Yes.
And that's literally the number one thing that people think of with pelvic floor PT.
No, totally.
We totally forgot to talk about pregnancy and postpartum, but yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a given. That's how we gain popularity, right? But that's so, it's one piece of what we do, right? We treat so much, and we love pregnancy and postpartum. We love those patients. We love getting people back and through that 4th trimester to what they love doing and the activity they want to get back to. But even without being pregnant or postpartum, there's so much we treat in pelvic floor therapy.
So much, guys. Yeah, I like the prolapse comment too. That can even look like a mild prolapse. It doesn't have to be a significant prolapse, but let's say you go on a long hike on Mount Kilimanjaro or something. I don't know.
In January 2026.
Let's say you go on a long hike and at the end of the day, your pelvic floor feels super sore and like your vagina feels like super heavy. That's weird. I don't want to feel that. Come here.
Yeah.
We will help you learn how to navigate that so that doesn't happen again. So you can go on as many freaking hikes up freaking summits as you want.
Totally. We hope you guys learned something, especially if you're new to the podcast. Welcome to the Pelvic Freak community. We want to hear anything and everything from you. There's no such thing as TMI on this podcast. Right now, we're actually collecting questions and stories for submission for a couple future episodes we have coming up. So you should definitely submit them. And if you have a comment on something we talked about today, like, oh, I had no idea this was pelvic floor, can you elaborate on that? That's a great question for our Q&A episode. So we can get a little bit deeper on anything you're curious about.
Yes. Submit some Q&As. I'm literally already thinking of more and more things that we treat as pelvic floor PTs off the top of my head now, but we've listed so many things and we have plenty of time for more episodes.
Yeah.
So
when in doubt, if it's related to bowel, bladder, sex, pain, activity, function, it's probably pelvic floor.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even exaggerating, guys, when I tell you I've had patients of all genders come to me and say they've been in pain or dysfunction for over 10 years and they come to 2 sessions with me and they have noted already like 60% improvement.
Totally.
I'm like too good at this, guys. I need to calm down.
And it's just a testament to how big of a difference you can make when you're dealing with chronic pain in an area that just hasn't been explored yet.
And that was me being a jokester. It's not that I'm that amazing, even though I am. It's the fact that
you don't need to backtrack on hyping yourself up.
It's the fact that sometimes it really just takes awareness and like knowledge of this is why the podcast is important, so that people can even realize that they can get help and you don't have to just go and get a medication or go and get a surgery or go and get a freaking whatever it is all the time.
Yeah. If you're someone who has recently asked me, what is pelvic floor therapy? I have most likely referred you to this episode. So if you've made it this far, thank you for listening. And I hope you have a better understanding now.
Yes. And guys, too, we are also collecting stories for our next story time. And we're waiting a little bit longer so we can collect some really good stories. So this story time is going to be on cheating stories. So that means a story time of when you got cheated on, a story time of when you cheated on someone, a story time of how cheating affected your sex life, a story time on how cheating maybe made your sex life better, whatever it is. Maybe you discovered you're polyamorous. Congratulations. Tell us about it. And we want to comment on it and talk about it on the podcast. We are taking either written submissions or live call-in submissions.
Okay? Or voice notes. Sometimes we'll do voice notes.
Leave us a voice note. If you do, you could always email that to us because I don't believe we have a form to submit for that.
Yeah, or you can DM it.
Or DM us a voice note. Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's how we got them before.
That's good. DM us voice notes if you want to do a voice submission, please.
Yes.
Please.
We are doing a cheating Q&A because it's the 2-year anniversary of Hannah and I getting cheated on and becoming friends because of it.
Yay. So why don't we have a little cheating story timeline?
Yes.
I'm also doing my stand-up comedy on getting cheated on. So might as well just get it all in.
Will you read your stand-up comedy on the story time?
Oh.
Maybe one of your jokes from it.
Maybe I could. I got last time, guys, I did my stand-up comedy for the group. Everyone was like, ooh, I can't laugh at that because I just feel bad for you. And I was like,
we're workshopping new material. Don't worry. She'll be ready in 2 weeks.
I swear I'm not depressed about it anymore, guys. It was just, they were like, that's actually really fucked up. And I was like, oh, yeah, it is, but I'm good now.
Yeah, I was cracking up because like I know Hannah and her delivery and I thought it was really funny, but at the same time I'm like, maybe we're too close to each other to give valuable feedback.
Yeah. I'm going to read you my new workshopped ideas after this.
Great.
Cool. So maybe I'll read you guys my stand-up.
Yeehaw.
My type 5.
If Amanda does 5 or someone. Yeah, I'll read you my type 5. Don't worry, toots. Maybe we'll do a 10-minute episode with both of our type 5s.
Okay, cool. I love it.
Woohoo.
Funsies. Guys, we have some good guest podcasts coming up too, so stay tuned for that. If you need anything else from us, we're available all the time on Instagram. We don't brick our Instagram all the time. Okay, wait.
I brick my Instagram every night.
Amanda bricks it, but I get push notifications, so I'll try to respond fast.
I got you a brick for Christmas, so maybe start using it.
I need to. All right, guys, we're rambling now, so
All
we'll let you
right.
go.
Make sure you're following us on social media at the Pelvic Freak Show. And
That's it.
bye, Pelvic Freaks.
I need to stop talking. Bye.
Bye.